So it's mid-February, it's in the 60s, it's a great time to fell some trees for lumber. All of the trees I will be felling today are on my dad's woodlot. These trees were killed several years ago by a large gypsy moth outbreak and have been standing dead ever since. Much of the bark on the outside is rotten, but it breaks off easily, revealing a glimpse of the solid hardwood that lies beneath it. This is not meant to be an instructional how-to video on cutting trees. It is simply a video showing how I source and gather trees for sawing on my mill. I am not a professional arborist, and I'm sure there are safer, more effective ways to avoid some of the mistakes I will make. Just come along for the journey, and hopefully you can learn something, if not from some of my goofs. Trees don't always fall the way you want, and the first tree of the day is a good example of this. The upper canopy branch has become hung up on another tree beside it. Yeah, so this is never an ideal thing to happen, and presents a very dangerous situation. Our solution to this was to chain the tree and pull it free with my dad's tractor, a method we've done many times before. At this point, the tree can be very unpredictable, and all control I once had over it is gone. It's at the mercy of my creator and the other dead branches holding it up. Luckily, the wind was not blowing hard at this time, and I felt comfortable enough to give it a big old hug with a chain. The tree needs a little bit of persuading, as there's still a fair amount of hinge wood left. Remember I mentioned about mistakes earlier? Well, as promised, I deliver. Make a bowl of popcorn and enjoy. It's not you ready to take a 10,000-pound sucker punch to the chest. The chainsaw bar becomes pinched between the stump and the tree. While I have quite the passion for trees, no tree is worth losing a life over, so I decided to sit this one out, leave the saw and have my dad pull it with the tractor. The end result? The bar lost its life and I kept mine. Yeah, I can live with that. This tree really could have gone a lot worse. I'm thankful it is down and that I'm still alive. Once down, the hard work begins. The trees are dragged to a staging area where some are processed for firewood and some for lumber. The tractor makes quick work of this task. The tractor has a 3-point hitch, which comes in handy for lifting the front end of the log just enough so that it drags easier and does not become embedded with dirt. Sawmill blades don't like dirt. It's really to your advantage to keep your logs clean, as this results in less blade changes on the sawmill and more time for making lumber. It's really amazing how much pulling strength a 23 horsepower diesel really has. Yeah, I better get out of the way here. I noticed my back gap on this tree was closing, so I decided to wedge it. I should have palmed the wedge prior to this point to prevent this, but now my wedge was buried to its maximum depth. Eventually this tree fell, but my camera died, so you'll have to take my word for it. A couple of the trees this day were challenging to fell because of neighboring trees lending a helping branch. This tree was no exception. It seems as though they didn't want their neighbor of 80 years to leave their company. Well, everything has its day. Just thankful it wasn't mine this time. You know the saying, never judge a book by its cover? Well, the same can be said for a tree. Notice how rotted the bark this tree was. Most people would pass this by, or cut it into firewood, but there's a hidden gem of usable lumber underneath its tired bark, waiting for a new life in one of my projects someday. The dead limbs at the top of a tree like this are called widowmakers for good reason. With the vibration of the saw below, they can fall into the sawyer. My dad acts as a spotter, letting me know how big the branch that hits me will be. In all reality, he should probably be standing back a little bit further, but on more than one occasion, he has saved me by alerting me to the dangerous situation above, and for that, I'm thankful. Before felling any tree, it's always a good idea to have at least 2 clear exit paths, making sure to trim any small debris that could create an issue if you have to leave the tree for any reason. I clear any of the loose bark so I can see what solid wood I am dealing with before making my notch. It's not a bad idea to lightly strike the base of a tree with a small sledgehammer prior to notching, just to make sure the tree is not hollow inside. There's nothing more dangerous than cutting into the tree only to realize that all of your holding wood had rotted away years ago. Here I'm using a standard feller's notch to fell this tree. It's important to make sure your notch is cleaned out and that the cuts line up, as this determines the start of the holding wood. The holding wood is your control over how the tree is going to fall. This is the point when the sawyer listens to the groan of the tree, and that 2-second window of the tree either starting its fall or standing tall presents itself. Well, this tree must have been whispering because I didn't hear it very well. Actually, I didn't remove enough of the holding wood, and the tree was standing firm on a quarter of its former glory. By removing just a little bit more hinge wood, the tree falls. There's going to be a lot of useful lumber in this tree. So let's do a little recap of the day. Yeah, I don't remember this part. That's more like it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Be sure to check out my website at walkersmilling.com.